Good afternoon, Muscle Car Corner here at the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals with Paul Rossi. He's a legend in drag racing, and I'm so happy that I got a chance to talk to you.
Nice
Pleasure
to meet you.
meeting you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
I've been a fan for many years, and of course, this car is a legend. You know, tell me about maybe your career, how you got started in drag racing, your first drag car, whatever you want to start with there.
It's a little complicated. However, it's simple. I built my first hot rod when I was 14. I bought a 51 Mercury.
Nice.
I saw the James Dean movie, Rebel Without a Cause, and he had that slammed Mercury in there, 49 or 50 Merc.
Yep.
And so I got a 51 Merc, pulled a 239 flathead out, put an Oldsmobile engine in it, and I got it running 4 days before I turned 16.
Wow.
And so there it was. I built the headers for it, and I put tri-power on it, if you can believe that, because
Wow.
Oldsmobile had a J2 manifold. You could buy a stock from 57, and the thing at the Oldsmobile dealer was $28
Really?
for a cast iron. Yeah, and then I went to the junkyard, got some carburetors, and had the first six-pack. And that's ironic because six-pack gave me I started this legend with the 446 pack.
Wow.
So I started my first car with a six pack.
That's
How about
cool.
That? That's pretty cool.
It is.
And I bought an adapter from Honest Charlie for $25. Put a 37 Ford transmission floor shift on it. Bolted the Oldsmobile up, and off we went. I had an overhead valve, slammed. I think we called them lead sleds back in the day. Had big bubble skirts on it.
Yeah.
And everything was going good until one night, about 4 or 5 months into the deal, I was racing a couple of kids in their mom's 56 Chevy. And they about gave me my lunch. And I'm going, they don't know anything about cars, and I got all this. And so wait a minute. The next day I put my car up for sale, and I said, I'm going to buy a Chevy, and then we're going to see where we go. So I bought a 57 Chevy convertible for $1,480.
Wow.
And
brand new?
No, it was used.
Okay.
This is 59. And the payments on it, my mom signed for me. They were like $44 a month,
Wow.
but I was only making $48 a month.
What were you doing?
I was working in a hardware store all through high school.
No
Worked
kidding.
35 hours a week, yeah.
Wow.
And then, but nobody had a 57 Chevy convertible. It was power pack stick. So all my buddies would go and they put the gas in. So, I mean, that's how that stuff worked back then. But double dated, they paid for gas and hot dogs and racer steaks. We call them hot dogs. And that's how we lived then. I mean,
love it.
It's
Sign of the times.
It is, and we went out street racing. I mean, have fun. And of course, Woodward Avenue, I'm from Detroit, the mile roads, 15 mile, 16 mile, 17 mile road, that now it's famous. The Woodward Cruise, the Dream Cruise.
Oh, of course.
Well, that's all from us guys in the 50s.
Really?
Yeah, going there and racing. Back then, that's what you did on Saturday night. Grabbed your gal and
Of course.
off you went,
Yeah.
So, so that's how that's the automotive stuff, right? So that gets your blood going. And then I got a Corvette, a fuel-injected Corvette,
Ooh, what year?
1960.
Nice.
I love it. There's one here,
Trunk
and
car.
I really looked at it. It was white with black guts, and I ran that in C Sports. So that was my first official non-street race car. So I took a
Gotcha.
Detroit Dragway, and I'm running it and doing well. And Detroit Dragway, all the muscle cars are there, from the Ram Chargers are testing there, the Commandos, Color Me Gone.
Wow.
And all the guys, all the engineers are out there, and there's a lot of fast cars up there. So one day, this gentleman comes up to me. He owned Warren Valley Country Club, which is a golf course back then. And he said, you Paul Rossi? I said, yeah. He said, I'd like you to, I need some help with my car. And I said, oh, what do you need? I got my buddies here, we'll go help you. No, I need it, I need somebody to work on it.
Gotcha.
I said, oh, I don't work on people's cars, this is my hobby. And, and he said, I said, besides, you've got a Mopar, there's all these Mopar guys. He said, well, they won't talk to me.
Really?
So, well, I just don't have a place to do it. He said, well, I also own a Sunoco station. Yeah, but that's not a very conducive place to super tune a car because somebody would change it. I'll shut the thing down.
Wow.
Well, you do that? And he goes, yeah. You really need this done? He goes, yeah. He said, and I'll pay you. You'll pay me? I said, yeah. How
That
much?
sounded good.
He said, whatever you want. Be right back. Went back, talked to my 2 high school buddies. Hey, I want to super tune one of these Mopars anyway, see what I can do. What do you say? We get bucks and we can work on their station with a hoist and everything? Yeah. He goes, we're in. So we go over there, and I said, I don't know what he paid me, but it was, So we got there on a Friday, got it done. It's late Sunday night or early Monday, I can't remember. He went to the track and he won the next 4 times in a row.
Wow.
And I go, whoa, man, I need to get one of those and
Super
work on it for me. Yeah. So I went down to the new Plymouth dealer called Westbourne Chrysler Plymouth in Dearborn, Ford World, and I walked into the manager's office and I said, I'd like to buy a new super stock Max Wedge Plymouth, and if you give me the best price you can, I will put your name on the side of it, and it's only for racing. So he said, yeah, I'll talk to our owner, and that was Dick Spencer. So I waited and talked to him, and I told him what he said. Well, Paul, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I just came from Bob Ford, and I was a sales manager down there, and I came up here, and all my buddies are giving me the raspberries, and we had a factory program, race on Sunday, sell on Monday.
Yes.
And so you're exactly what I'm looking for. So I said, yeah. I said, I'll buy the car, and I'll put your name on it from the front bumper to the back. And I did. Westbourne Chrysler Plymouth. Started at the front, ended at the quarter panel.
Nice.
I mean, it wasn't hooray for Paul Rossi. This was, I'm advertising for him.
Yes.
So I picked the car up on a wrecker when it came in. I took it home, and my buddies that we were talking about, we all tore the whole car apart. And when we got it all apart, we lightened it. We scraped all the undercoating off, did all that stuff, made tubes where there are solid bars, left parts off, brackets and all that stuff. See you later. Now, the thing was a shell. And so my mom said, hey, you got your new car? Where is it? And I said, it's back there, Mom. She goes, where? And I said, it's back there. We didn't have a garage, so it was under a tree. She goes back there. Oh, my God, what did you do to your car? I said, Mom, I'm helping it. I'm
helping it.
I'm helping it. She says, you did that? That's your first car. And I go, I know, Mom. I said, but it's really important. And I said, you'll see later. Well, anyway, we got the car all done, fast forward. And I did the engine work as well. So,
nice.
and kind of an interesting note, this was a late car. And so one of the last ones, and when I took the intake manifold off, because I hadn't run it, there was a Clark bar wrapper in there, inside the valley cover, in the engine. Holy smokes, I'm really glad I took this apart. So anyway, that's just a sidebar. And then, so I got the engine done, and we did the car, and got it all finished, and it was time for one of the biggest races at Detroit Dragway. People came from all over the United States because there was a big race in Indy. So they had a kind of a welcoming race for Indy at Detroit Dragway, before, kind of a tune-up as well.
Yeah.
Get used to the Eastern air and all that if you're from California, and a lot of people were. Big names from California, Tommy Grove, Dick Landy, and the like.
Different tune.
Yeah, and so here I am with my red Plymouth, and I drive in, says Westbourne on it. I got a guy to letter it. All hand lettering then, no decals.
Nice.
And so I drove up to the track. I was only like 7 or 8 miles away. I drove up there, and the guys go, oh, this is your new car, Paul? Yeah, and said, well, hey, there's a big race this weekend. Guys from all over the country, you're not going to race, right? And I go, no, I'm going to race. And they said, but they got trucks, and this is all, no, I'm going to race. Okay. Is it okay if I race? Yeah. I said, okay, well, I'm going to race. So we had a couple of tires in the back to put on the back.
Sure.
Stock tires from the front. And I made the headers. And so I had mufflers hooked onto the headers. And my buddies were in the back. We had some sparks, a couple of valve cover gaskets, P&G valve gapper, and some jets and rods.
That was about it.
And so, yeah, we went in. So by the end, so fast forward, Sunday night, 2 cars left, Paul Rossi's Westbourne and the Ram Chargers.
Wow.
At the final. Yeah. So everybody's going, who the heck is that?
Who is that guy?
Yeah, exactly. That engine can't be legal. So, yes, but it is. Anyway, so Dave Landreth, who did work for Hearst later on, came up to my car, and he was shaking because all these other guys, well, we need to tear that car down. And now they wouldn't have torn the Ram Chargers down, or anybody else, but since I was right out of left field, they needed to know what was going on. So they said, where's your truck? And I go, I don't have it. How'd you get here? I said, I drove it. You drove that car? And I go, yeah. And so I said, yeah, and I can lock, you can't get in it. I said, well, I'll lock it up. And I put the key in it, locked the door. And he's going, well, you can't drive it to tear down. And I said, okay. but I can sit in the seat. Yeah, you can sit in the seat. Well, we'll put somebody in it. We're going to drive to a barn over here. And we're going to tear everything apart. We're going to take everything apart. And I go, yeah, it's okay. You sure? And I go, yeah, of course. So we go to the barn. Ramchargers is getting torn down. They didn't want to, but they had to because I was.
Gotcha.
We're in the final. So I got the cylinder head off. They took it over to take the valve out. Look, no porting, everything's stock. Measured my bore, stroke. He said, it's not bored over. I said, I know. He said, well, you can go 60 over. I know. Well, how come you didn't? I said, well, how come I'm in the final and you're not? I said, I don't think there's anybody here that can bore that hole straight. Any auto parts put a quick way boring bar on it and get that hole right. So I left the hole that the factory put in it, and I just honed it to what I want.
Sure.
And so and he goes, oh, okay. And he checked the stroke. Okay, everything's legal here, more than legal. So he goes over the head. He goes, up. You're quarter of a cc out. So be right back. Got a spark plug, brand new one. Put it in there. How's it now? It's right on. Thank you. That's what I want to hear. Took it back. Full stamp of approval. One of the Ramchargers came over to me. Dan Mancini said, you call this guy on Monday.
No
I never bought another
shit.
car.
Wow. What a story. That's super
cool,
neat.
Can't do that today. Because
No.
see, that way, everybody got their own erector set. Their little Lego set.
Yep.
And you scattered it all apart and you put it all back together. Those are the parts you got. Everybody got the same parts, kind of, sort of. And see who's best at it.
Did you ever build models as a kid?
No.
They didn't have car models.
No, I had real cars. My dad had cars all over
But
the place.
I mean, as a kid, I always, was going to Gator National since '72, and I always like to get those models and build them of the cars that I like.
I had the
But
real
it turned
car.
me into a car
My
builder.
first car I worked on was a 32 Ford. I took the cylinder head off when I was 10 years old.
God.
No, I had real cars to work on. Model airplanes. I was an airline pilot. So for
Really?
TWA, yeah. So I did model airplanes, but I never cars. Cars, I had real cars right in the yard.
Gotcha.
My dad had cars tore down everywhere.
Everywhere. Huh?
Yeah,
So you were a car family.
Yeah,
right from
but
the
my
gate?
dad didn't let me touch his tools.
No.
I had to go in, sneak in at night after he went to work just to get his tools. So the first job I got was I went in and bought a full tool set.
That's neat. You probably still have that tool set, don't you?
I got pieces of it.
That's cool.
I got pieces of it, and I'm 83 years old.
82, man, you don't look a day over 60.
Well, thanks. I feel like some days I feel like I'm 40, other days I feel like I'm just glad to be here.
I'm 62.
I want to
There's
be
days-
anywhere.
There's days I feel like 40 and some I feel like
Yeah,
60. You
yeah.
know, it's just the way
But
it
you know
goes.
what? Shows like this make you feel 20.
Yeah. Well,
People the fans are so great. Yeah.
That's why I wanted to get your story. And let's talk about this car a little bit and what's in it.
Well, this is a pretty interesting car.
What you did to win with this car.
First of all, yeah, that's a good point. So how I came upon this project is that I was racing a Hemi Cuda, one of the Hearst cars.
Wow.
Okay, the 68 Hemi Cuda. I'm in super stock A automatic.
Mm-hmm.
And at the World Finals in 1975, I got down to the final round.
Wow.
And I have to be world champion. So we're at Ontario Motor Speedway, and during this deal, the tech department came over and said, you've got something in that car that we've never seen before.
Really?
I said, yes. I have an active intake manifold. What does that mean, Paul? I said, I have butterflies inside the cross ram. I have moving parts in it. Well, you can't do that. I knew you were going to say that, so I pulled the rule book up and says, intake manifolds are free. FREE. That means whatever I can think of, I can do it until you legislate it out. So active intake manifolds are very prevalent today. They're in Hondas, they're in Porsches, they're in Mitsubishis,
Really?
they're in Mercedes. Yeah, they have butterflies and change the length of the port and they tune it. When you have multiple valve heads, you lose a lot of torque. So they make the runners long for the extra torque and open them up for high end. So that's basically what I did. I had more torque, and I built so much torque in that car that the A-pillar in my A-automatic car broke right here on the last round against Bernie Hageman.
Wow.
And because the car broke.
It just twisted.
Yeah, it broke the car.
Twisted
Yeah,
unibody on it.
and the reason was the tremendous amount of torque. But the other thing in my favor is that the track was what today you call it prepped. To there, anytime you go to a national race, your shoes stick to the track.
Gotcha.
So there's just so much bite, and I had the torque to put down, and it was enough in the final round to break
To
the car.
twist the car.
So I'm going 145 down at the end, and the top was peeling off.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So I went around for teardown. I lost. Brittany beat me fair and square, and so I came back, and went to teardown, and I asked Farmer Dispute, who is our tech director, and I reached in here and I put my shoulder up here and raised up, and you could see the whole windshield went up. A car went over the windshield stayed there, and the roof was picked up. And I said, "You go, wow!" And I said, "You're going to have to let us weld the cars to the roll cages."
Yes.
That wasn't allowed then. He said, "Yes, you're right." And so
part of the structure.
So that's
the
the Rossi rule, 1976.
Really?
Yeah. And
you
so
implemented that.
Yeah, I did actually.
Nice.
And so then I go to Chrysler and asked them if they said I was feeling really good about myself. I'm the fastest Mopar, and I had the world's fastest Superstock in 1975.
Wow.
Sticker automatic. I had the fastest one. So, and tore down and all legal. So they asked me to consider another project. And I said, okay, what do you have? And he said, we'd like you to run the Challenger, and we'd like to have a 440 in it. I was hoping it was going to be a Hemi Challenger. And he said, Paul, we're not funding Hemis at the moment, so everybody has stepped out. This is the largest engine package we have left, and we're giving it to you. And I said, but you've given it to other teams last year, and it wasn't successful. Yeah, we know, but we were thinking that, you'll be able to
dial it
do
in.
something, yeah. And I said, okay, so fast forward, with a little encouragement and paying me. So they gave me a salary to run it.
Nice.
And I took on the 440, and they had a special intake manifold they were working on. So that became available, and I worked out that deal. And this car was so successful that it chased all the Cobra Jets and the 454 Chevys out of G and F. And this was the car to beat. And it didn't have near the power that they had, but I had the torque. I had so much torque that this car left on the bumper all the time without a trans brake. But I used only the 2-barrel carburetor part of the package.
Really?
Yeah, and at the end of the first gear, the two 500 CFMs, 1000 CFM comes in, and down the road I went. So I figured it out how to make the most torque. That's the one thing I had. I couldn't outpower the Chevys or the Fords by anything.
Well,
they made more power, but I made more torque.
Well, Mopar's always been about launching the car with a pinion snubber if it's a torque flight.
And that's 2 super stock springs and a snubber.
That's it?
That's it.
That's the key.
And that's what I had in my 9.7 second Hemi Cuda. Two 002, 003. Yeah, A body springs with extension and a snubber. And that's what I put in this car, and it was very successful.
That's amazing. One thing I looked at when you were unloading yesterday, these pipes were hitting. Now, you talking about torque. Is that one of your secrets, to run this pipe instead of an open header to get more torque out of the motor?
Yes.
That's what
18-inch was this is 45 years ago technology, but it's still relevant today.
Did you come up with that, or was that already out?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
But I mean,
it was what we did. Everything. When you sit there and say what makes more torque, and I just did everything. Put collectors on it, made more torque. So you do things like you track test it. So you put it on, and if it goes faster, it's a good thing.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, most of the things you try don't work. But when it does and the car picks up, the car likes it, you do what the car likes until you get it to where you want it.
Gotcha.
So everything I did on this car that stayed on the car was for torque.
And it was part of...
And I shifted this 6,000.
It was part of you winning all the races you did.
No question.
Because you, from day one, you figured this stuff out.
Yeah.
And the engineers did, like the Ram Charger teams back then, that's what it was all about, was the test and tune.
Yep.
Win on Sunday, sell on Monday.
Yep.
So did you have to ever, run against them?
All the time. They beat me every single time.
Really?
Yeah. I never beat the Ram Chargers one time.
Really?
Yeah. Nope. They beat me all the time. I don't know.
Just because they
they were the factory engineers. And so, I'm not ashamed of it. I'm just happy I'm in the final with them if I can be. I want to be as close as them as I can, because they're always the benchmark.
Yeah.
I mean, there's their engineers, and if you think that they don't have cars that go through the assembly line that get double spot welds and change a few things, then you're not dealing with reality. So I always figured they had something a little bit better than I had, and if I just was close. So when all the cars were built in '64, for example, when the Hemis went out there, and there were like 55 or 60 of them, automatics and sticks, I got down to the last 4 cars, and I was the 3rd fastest car. So it was Chargers, Commandos, and Rossi. I was like an independent. I was the fastest independent in the country.
Yeah.
Right next to them, and everybody else, even the other factory cars, were gone.
Well,
There
that's
were just
something.
3 cars.
That's something to be proud of because you did it yourself. You wrenched on it. You figured these things out. You figured how to win
Yeah.
and you weren't trained. At a young age. Your dad didn't have you wrenching on their cars or anything, did he? I grew up from this big, 6 years old. I was doing brake jobs, oil
Well, in the old
changes.
days, you'd say the kid's got a knack for it.
and it led me into
And
the
so,
business
yeah,
I
and
was
so
in.
when I got with Direct Connection and I became, part of, I've been racing with Chrysler. Not only did I do drag racing, I did Pikes Peak. I won that 4 times.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, and then IMSA road racing. We did that. I won 55 IMSA races. I mean,
What?
my cars did. Yeah, I built every engine in every car.
You been
And-
to Daytona with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the Daytona 500, but IMSA racing sports
the
car.
IMSA,
Yeah.
Well,
And
I'm in Daytona, so that's why I asked.
cool.
I've been going there since
Yeah. So,
68.
and so I'm one of the only racers, and I'm still racing, that did drag racing, hill climb, and road racing.
That's crazy.
So nobody transferred over that. They never got one contract guy that did all that stuff.
No.
So I have a really nice background, and I can speak to all this. I painted this car. I did the engine in a car. I mean, I did every engine. I never bought an engine in my life.
I'm an old paint body man myself,
There you go.
so
There you go.
I know what you're talking about there.
I remember Dulux and Supermax, and
Yep.
I mean,
the early days with the lacquer,
yeah, there you go.
I was spraying cars when I was 16 years old in Dulux, and we would slow the reducer down a little bit. And that was the times when you didn't have a real good booth. We had chains over the axle.
Well, I painted this
for
outside.
static.
I didn't have a booth. I painted in like a barn
That's cool.
in 8 days.
8 days.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
now I have a brand new 2023.
Yes, let's talk about that.
23 body in white, painted white already. They painted it knuckle white. It was the show body for the bodies in white that we carried around when I went to the Direct Connection events.
Gotcha.
And I got that body, and now it's being built as a new super stock sister to this. So this is the 70 first Challenger. The 23 is the last Challenger. I have the bookends, the first one and the last one. And
That's
they're both
neat.
going to be the new class. It's factory super stock, and we'll be running it in that class. We have
You'll
Phil
be
and
at-
Tony Mondella,
Yep.
PMR. They're going to be doing the build. They did the build on this. And Blackbird, Big Power Mentality out of Tennessee. We'll be riding the power. And Tony's going to drive it.
You're not going to drive.
No, he's a better driver. He's a way better person to drive it than I am. So we want to be competitive. So we don't want to just see if Paul Rossi doesn't fall out of his seat. We want to make
gotcha.
sure. We want to go out there and
kick some ass.
Well, I don't know about that. We want to go out there and make them proud.
Yeah. Well, it's neat that you're building another one that's going to be a clone as far as color and everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
gonna be
In fact,
exact.
we even got some of the stripes on it already. It's on the internet. Yeah, we've got this basic. Yeah, it's exactly like this.
Yeah.
So the idea here is that everything's going to be available on that car. I don't sell anything, but PMR, Mandela Race Cars, they are going to sell the back half kit.
Gotcha.
So they're going to actually make all the tubes. They're going to computer bend them so that you can buy the kit that goes in this car. You'll be able to buy everything that goes. When I say this car, the new car.
Gotcha.
You'll be able to buy everything that goes in that car, including the engine pieces and all that. That you can buy that through Blackbird. So there's going to be 2 places. I got a great team, so it's a dream team.
You're going to be in the Factory X.
No.
not Factory X.
No,
Soup.
Blackbird's in the Factory X, or was, but he'll be back, I assume. I'm in this new class called Superstock.
Okay. Yeah.
Factory Superstock.
I was just at
that
US
means,
Nationals.
That's the factory cars that you see, like the drag pack car
Sure.
and I guess the Coyote Mustang, all that.
Yep.
Okay. They now have a class for those cars, and you put the big tires on it. You can back half it. So it's called Factory Superstock. We'll be one of the first cars in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You'll be at US Nationals next year?
Oh,
Without a
I
doubt.
hope to shout. I mean, God willing.
Well, I'm going to be checking with you, and we'll be looking at that car then because I'll be there.
Yeah,
with-
Mopar collector guide is going to follow the car all the way through. They were there when I received the car, so they're going to follow the build all the way through, and so you'll be able to see it on Mopar TV and Mopar collector guide and follow the build, and everything will be out. You'll see whatever we do.
Well, I'll get to see the finished product next year in
I hope
Indy.
so. Yeah.
Let's hope it's
Yeah,
done.
No doubt we'll be there, and we'll be at the Dream Cruise in Detroit.
Oh, cool.
And
cool.
then and then we're showing this car, but we'll be racing that one with Tony.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, Paul, I was really enthused about getting an interview with you, and I've got some with the others. This is a really good one. I love your story
Thank you.
and how you started wrenching on stuff yourself without any training and just figured it out yourself with common sense
Yeah.
and good smarts about you, And
Thank you.
that's something to be said about that. So I look forward to seeing you next
Thank
year,
you.
sir.
Thank you, everybody. I
US
hope you found that
Nationals.
interesting. And we'll see you at the race cat.
Gotcha. Thank you,
Yeah.
Paul.
And when
Appreciate
you're
you.
polishing that car, get some mothers.
Gotcha. Thanks, Paul. Hello, Muscle Car Corner. I'm here with Butch Leal, a legend in drag racing, and talked him into an interview, and I wanted to discuss his career, how he got into it, and his first drag car, and then we'll talk about some of his career, and then get involved in what's in this car and what made this car win. So, Butch, so glad to see you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Nice to get this interview.
Yes, sir. So, tell me about how you got into drag racing, your first car, and kind of elaborate on that if you would.
Well, I'm a young kid in the San Joaquin Valley of California, and my dad had a trucking business. Of course, they had a 3-speed and a 5-speed transmission. I was young, 10 years old. I could drive a truck, and I learned the clutch pedals and devices. And as things went on, I got older, probably 12, 13. I got a Model A, and then I ended up trading it for a 46 Ford and took the engine out and freshened it up. My dad's mechanic helped me because he knew about flatheads, and it helped a lot. And I'm learning all about engines and stuff at that time. And well, when you're 16 years old, my folks said I could have any car I wanted.
Really?
Yes, and so I'd work with loading hay every day on the trucks with a hay loader, and so I decided I wanted a 60 El Camino. The Impalas those days, or Bel Airs, they were 35 horse.
Really?
3.2s with 335. We call them 335. Well, the El Camino was 350 horse. So naturally, my mother subscribed Hot Rod magazine for me, and I seen this 350. Well, I'm thinking, well, heck, it's a lot better than the 335 or more horsepower.
Sure.
So I got it, and it actually came in on my 16th birthday.
Wow.
I think I went through 2 tanks of gas that day, my girlfriend and I, and we drove it, and I'm driving it, and it was okay. I had a friend of mine that had a 335 Impala.
Oh, yeah?
Older than I was, of course, at that time, and he pretty good 4-speed driver. So we went to Bakersfield, Formosa, this very famous place.
Of course.
Only 40 miles away, and they raced once a month. So I went, and I was so nervous I let him drive my El Camino. Well, he made it to the final and got beat. So, okay, it runs pretty good. I think it would run 101 or 2. And anyway, the next month, I wanted to go back and see everything. So I decided I'd drive. Well, it wasn't a mistake, but the big mistake, I won the race. So, yeah, away I went. And
that started off, huh?
That started it off. And I was very fortunate to meet H.L. Shahan, which is Shirley Shahan's husband.
Okay.
And we got it tuned up even more. And put headers on it. I won the first race without just stock. And anyway, eventually we ended up running 106. And I won about 60 to 61. I won almost 90 races with it. So I was, okay, I won a 409. So I got a Biscayne because the reason I did that rather than the Bel Air, the bubble top, because it was 100 pounds lighter.
Really?
Yes. And so I like light. And end up out running Nicholson and all the guys. Because it was fast and real fast. And
That was the X11 that you bought, you
Pardon
said.
me?
Was that the X11 you bought? Or the Z11?
No. Okay, that's a 62 that Shibby noticed what I was running really well and beating some people with it. Even their own car. Hayden probably was driving the bubble top, and he was a fast him and Dino, and I could outrun them.
Really?
So they decided they'd get a Z11, and they were a pretty heavy car because it was an Impala with an aluminum front end, but it was 427. And I ran it until the middle of that year. And
Okay.
Chevy dropped. Well, General Motors dropped racing completely, NASCAR and drag racing, because they sold too many darn cars. The government tried to split them up, and they didn't want to do that. So, but anyway, a week later, Mickey Thompson's racing Pontiacs, of course, and so he found out, and he flew to Dearborn and got a Ford deal. So 2 weeks later, I have a lightweight Galaxy with a fiberglass 427. They got it running well. Then the Thunderbolt came out.
64.
64 high riser, and I mean, I flew with it. Flew. I won Indy with it. I won the Manufacturers Cup for Ford. Actually, my oldest daughter, was born while I was at Indy that year, and so anyway, I went to race, and I'm sitting there, and they don't have a budget for me, and my heart fell to my stomach, and I went. There's a reason for that I don't want to talk about right now, but anyway.
Sure.
Mr. Cahill from Chrysler tapped me on the shoulder and wanted to speak to me outside, so I went to talk to him. He wanted 4-speed drivers because mostly the Chrysler guys were automatic drivers. So I think he hired Ronnie Sox, myself, Dave Strickler. They had hired and 4-speed drivers. So we had some good 4-speed drivers. And I was always a 4-speed driver, so it worked for me, and it was a great career from there on with Chrysler. I had the first altered wheelbase car, the funny car.
Did you?
Yeah, the very first Plymouth.
What year was that?
65.
Fine.
Okay, we got 65, and it's
that's when you
special
switched
vehicle.
from...
They made 6 Plymouths, 6 Dodges.
Gotcha.
They kept 1 Plymouth to test with. So it was 5 Plymouths, and so 5 of us, Plymouths, 5 Dodges, 6 Dodges. And, mine was faster than the speed of sound, man. And I built my own engines.
Sure.
So, you rub them and love them, they go faster and faster. And the Hemi really talked to me for some reason. And anything I would do, touch it liked it. If it didn't like it, it'd tell me and which way to go. And
You had a relationship.
I'm hired to race, so I work on it day and night.
Yeah.
Basically, I worked real hard at that time. I'm 21 years old at that time, so I'm going pretty strong. And
Amazing for a 21-year-old.
yeah, and then halfway through 65, well, just before Indy, I get a call from Chrysler, and they want me to run Superstock because I had won Superstock in 64 with a Ford, see what I could do in 65. So I don't have a car, Superstock car. I said, well, we have one in Tennessee.
Sure.
Ashley Motors in Tennessee. So I ran down to Tennessee, went back to Sox and Martin's place, painted it. I put my spare engine out of the all wheelbase in it, which is a legal Superstock engine, and with carburetors. And so everything went good. Called Doug a day. He sent me in one day, and the next day I had headers for it, and worked on it, painted it. I'd be darned if I didn't win Indy.
Wow.
Said, that was great. Now I got to paint my trailer along with my truck. Now I got this most beautiful rig. It's got the all wheelbase car on the truck. It's got an orange and white trailer on the back.
Nice.
The car, man, it looked so. I thought it was just great.
What color was the car?
The car was red and white.
Red and white.
It's poppy. I painted it poppy red, which is a Ford red. Because if I scratched it, I could repaint it real fast.
Sure.
And it was Chevy white.
Yeah.
So I call it refrigerator white.
That's what they always called it.
Right, they all call it in those days, and it was easy to touch up if you happened to scratch it.
Sure.
Well, I didn't scratch it, but anyway, that was my thought. It got better and better, and then at the end of '65, they wanted me to do the clinic, like the clinic thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm 21. I don't want to do it. So I said, well, I talked to Mr. Cahill. They owed me quite a bit of money.
Really?
Yeah. And I said, why don't you keep the money and I'm going to build a fuel funny car.
Really?
Yeah, I said, okay. And so I did that, and I said, give the deal to Don Grosser. And they did, to Plymouth. And I said, perfect. And so I built a Logie car. Like the Comets came out first,
Yep.
Logie was building it. Well, I knew Ron Logie real well, and I called him and said, I need one of those cars, chassis. He said, I can't do that. And I said, why? He said, I have a contract with Mercury. So I said, when's it over? And he told me, I said, here's what I want you to do. Build me a car down.
Okay.
Put a camera plate in it. When he walks in, he sees it's a Mercury. And I said, then put a 426 plate in it and put it under your desk or somewhere and hide it. So the day it was over, I got the car. I went down to Dayton, Ohio, and sprayed the body, made the body myself, and did the 10 work there. Went home, and I never got outran.
Wow.
But I run 100% in it.
Did you?
Yeah, it was injected. It wasn't blown.
Oh, okay.
Because we only had 10-inch tires back then.
Yeah.
And it was the first car to go into 7. The
Really?
thing weighed 1,720 pounds.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
it was quick. It didn't weigh nothing. And I've always been like light. You can't outrun a feather, I always say.
Yeah.
So, and then it progressed, and I built a blown car, bought another Logie
Really?
chassis. I sold it to Schumacher from here in Chicago. Everybody knows Don Schumacher. He called me. At that time, we didn't have fire extinguishers back then, and you get burned up pretty bad. And I'm thinking, I don't know. I bought a brand new Keith Black.
Nice. What'd that cost back then?
10 grand.
Really?
I paid $10,000 for the blown motor. Talked to Keith, and we lowered the compression a little bit, and I was going to run 100 in it. So,
What compression ratio were you running then?
Probably 7.5.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Gotcha.
I can remember, and we did lower from what some of the engines he had, and he said he'd never do it before, run 100. I said, well, I don't have to mix it up. I don't have to mess with the hydrometer. I just pour 100 like I did in my injected car.
Sure,
anyway.
sure.
Okay, so I get a call. I went with Jack Christmas to Long Beach because he had the Mercury blown, and Jack is a really good friend of mine. He was going to help me figure out how to tune one of those.
Gotcha.
So first run, it catches the intake and it blows the roof off of it.
Oh my gosh.
So, but I didn't hurt him. So we go back to his house and he glues it back on. I take the head off and he fixes that. Well, we go to Bakersfield the next day, which is headed towards my place. So cool. Go there first run, it does it again. This time it burns him pretty good.
Oh my gosh.
Well, so Monday I get up and I'm walking around the car talking to it. I said, "Don't hurt me." You know? And I'm thinking to myself, financially, if I don't get a lot of match races with the thing, I just can't. I'm going to end up spending my money. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
Well, the phone rings. My wife comes out and says, "You know Don Schumacher?" I said, "Of course." I remember racing him here when he had a Chevy.
Sure.
He said, "I understand Butch, your car's for sale." Nobody knew that. No one. Then I said, put it to him this way. Everything's for sale.
Right price.
At the right price. Is
Yep.
exactly what I said. He said, "I'll be there tomorrow." It was interesting. He flew there, came, and him and this tuner guy and Don, and they drove up, looked at the car. He said, "I want you to do something for me." I said, "What's that?" He said, "I got everything arranged at the airport. So take it to the airport. I'm going to fly it to Chicago." He flew it to Chicago.
Nice.
That was nice.
That's cool.
I said, "Take care of my baby,"
Yeah, yeah.
And he won the championship with it.
Really?
Yeah.
So what'd you go into after that?
It was a Stardust car.
Oh, the Stardust.
Yeah, Stardust.
Oh, I remember that car.
I made the body and everything. First run, I think it folded the front end up. He went over 200. I made it, I didn't think about making it any stronger.
Sure,
He put a new nose on it and everything. History after that.
That was a special car.
We were good friends for all these years.
Yeah.
Until recently he passed away, of course. But We're the same age. We were.
Are you?
Yeah. He'd be 80 now. I think. I just turned 80.
Well, you sure don't act or look like 80.
Oh well, that'll cost me 100, I'm sure.
Oh no. Well, you know.
Anyway, it went on from there, and I want to talk a little bit.
Yeah,
about,
let's roll the clocks to 1975.
Yeah, well, this is.
And let's talk about this amazing California Flash.
What happened is, basically in '74, NHRA kept putting too much weight on the Hemi to compete in pro stock. I love pro stock. I invented pro stock for NHRA, helped them.
Sure.
Got them started. And so I said, okay, I'd built a 74 super stock car, a 990 car. I had 4 of them.
Wow.
Different years, but Ron Butler built me a really nice one. Well, they go to 75, they wanted me to do the direct connection program. So I said, okay, so we built this car in 10 days.
Really?
10 days.
How many people?
5.
Wow.
Had 5 people at Butler's shop. I'm talking about painted. It was on the next cover of a Carcraft magazine. It didn't. When they went to the studio, it didn't have an engine or transmission in it. We didn't have time to put it in. They had to be at the studio. So
Gotcha.
people don't know that. You can't tell.
Yeah.
And
I love the color combination of these.
well, this
Chrysler
Chrysler designed this, and I've always been red, poppy red and white. Okay, and the stripes like it. But this came out okay as far as I'm gonna say I wasn't in love with it, but it looks nice.
It does. It's a good color combination. Red, white, and blue.
Well, what's nice about doing this combination, this engine came out of my Pro Stock car.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me about this engine.
396. It's not a 426. It's
really?
a D-stroke 426.
Okay.
Because it's weight per cubic inch.
Okay.
So I had everything that figured out. I needed to run it was sitting in my shop, so done, and I outran everybody with this engine.
Gotcha.
In Pro Stock. So I bolted it in, put a 4-speed in it, and put ladder bars on it. And in this 10-day period, I go to Pomona with it. I get out in the final. I get outrun with a Volkswagen outran me.
What?
I had to spot him 8th mile, but I couldn't catch him. And so, pretty simple. I just really upset about it. So I
bet.
I go to NHRA and I said, where are them Volkswagens made? The United States? I said, how the hell is a Volkswagen outrunning? They put 210s on him. So I go to Gainesville and I win Gainesville with the car. I eliminated it. Easy to do it with a pencil.
Unreal.
I'll see you. Very nice to you.
Nice to meet you.
How you doing? I'm Brad.
Hi, Brad.
Anyway, I did that and we won Gainesville.
Well, I was there in '75 and I did see that.
That was a wonderful thing. And I win that, and then I win the Winter Classic, and then I win Pomona. I did build another car after this one, Arrow after this car, Plymouth
Arrow.
Yeah, I'd run big gas.
Wow.
But I did run this one at the Winter National, so that I did 75 and 76. Well, I was modified driver of the year, Carcraft modified driver of the year.
Wow.
I won 3 national events with it. It was really a nice car to drive. It's a fun car. It'd go 961 every run, just about, so.
Well, how much did that little Arrow weigh? Those things are super light, weren't they?
No, these are heavy.
No, the Arrow, the Plymouth Arrow.
Oh, the Arrow is, but I forget. It's the same thing. Pro stock engine 396, big gas.
Gotcha.
I forget what, 5, 6, 7, 6, 5. I don't know how many pounds there were.
Okay, gotcha.
And
so
I just don't remember, but
de-stroking it.
I had a lot of weight in the Arrow because of that. I match raced it. I built the Arrow because I wanted to match race it some with Jenkins and Nicholson.
Of course.
Back then, and I did build a 455-inch, stroked it to 455. This engine, and actually this engine in the Arrow would go about 830s, 100,
wow.
162, 63 in the Arrow. I built the other one, and I went 796, 171 with it. Just a little
with
bit.
this?
Yeah, with the Arrow. So it was lightning fast.
Wow.
Didn't weigh nothing with the weight out of it. So.
Well, let's talk about the internals on this motor. I'm looking at these heads, the dual plug heads, what really made this car win? What were some of the little tricks that you did or was done to get this car to where you got it to?
Well, first of all, let me get around here. I'll show you that Excel made this ignition distributor itself.
Dual
As
point.
you can see, Excel made this for us. There's no points. There's nothing. It runs off a crank trigger.
Oh, really?
That's about the timing.
Okay.
I get a question that says, "Wait, does both spark plugs fire at the same time, or does all of it?" I said, "No, they fire at the same time." But one thing I did do, it kept one from fouling, the plug from fouling. I never did foul a plug, but
I got you.
it really did help a lot. But it really looks nice.
Yeah. And to de-stroke this, did you change the crank on it, or
Yeah,
was it rods?
Just the crank.
Gotcha. And it brought it down, and I guess
I think it was I can't remember. I think it's like 3,650 stroke and 3,750
Gotcha.
426.
Gotcha. How different was the motor from when it was a 426 to when you de-stroked it? How did the motor act? Did it have a lot more RPM range?
Not well,
it didn't have quite
somewhat.
the torque that the 426
yeah, right.
did.
And sort of, you do that. It takes a little different camshaft.
Yeah.
And obviously,
What lift cam was that?
By doing that, obviously, de-stroking it, you're losing compression.
Gotcha.
So I tightened everything back up as tight as I could get it. I closed the center line of the camshaft to make it think it had more compression.
Mm-hmm.
And the duration was 296, 296.
Wow.
So
what was the lift on?
I can't remember what the lift
in the
was.
six range.
Well, what happens with these things? I run the stock rocker, which is not a 7.5 or anything like that. I don't know what a Hemi is. A Fox Hemi, that's what I ran. I think it's 5.5 or something like that. There's not much lift.
Gotcha.
And we needed more, so I radiused my tips and got a little more. Just old stuff. I checked everything. Of course, when I make this thing, I build these engines. I do each cylinder one. I just tell myself this is a one-cylinder engine. So I fit it perfect. I go to the next one and do the same. All 8 cylinders are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Every piston to valve, every piston to head, everything's the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it runs really well. I mean, my stuff, I lighten the crank up as much as I can, and you get light parts and everything.
Of course.
I don't use a big heavy pin.
That's your whole theory, and that's a great theory.
Well, you're using. You get on the balancer, the most bob weight, 3,100 grams. Hell, that's NASCAR. Your Chevy's like 20 something.
Yeah.
So I'm going, okay, that's not working. So you can take an engine like this, use the stock parts, put it on a dyno. Just say we're making 1,000. Take it apart, lighten everything up internally, put it back on. It'll make 1,000. The difference is it'll get. It revs quicker, so
of course,
with being light parts, so that's where the difference is. But that doesn't make any more power because it can spin for quicker. It just gets there quicker.
Gotcha. What was the horsepower projected, or did you dyno them?
No, I didn't. Back then we didn't dyno them. So, no. But I'm thinking this thing probably had 800 maybe.
Around 800.
It's supposed to be pretty good.
Heck
396, maybe less.
And then what gear did you run in it?
Had a Dana. It has a Dana under the
410?
456.
456s? Gotcha.
555, 38s. Let me ask Denny. Hold on a minute. Let me ask him real quick.
Gotcha.
I gotta ask.
What rear-end ratio you think I read in this thing?
You told me one time 513.
That's what it was.
Oh, 513. Gotcha. Well, and then it's a 833 4-speed, or is this a torque flight car?
Well, the secret to the thing is, another that I learned, I had about five 4-speeds.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had different ratios of low gear.
Ah.
The stock was 266. Then they have a 280, and then I had 292 and a 310. I used the 310 low gear.
Really?
Well, it's smaller cubic engine, a lot of weight. It has to weigh, it's pretty heavy,
Yeah.
and you need to get it launched.
So did everybody do that with the
I don't know what
transmissions?
they did. I wasn't.
You just know what you did.
This is what this thing wanted. you know. I never had a tack in my life. So
Really? Just all by ear?
well, I feel.
Yeah.
Hear it.
Well,
You don't have time. Here's my story. You don't have time to. These things are moving so fast. You don't have time to look at a tack.
yeah. You really don't.
And if you got the tack, think about this. You got a tack. You throw it up in the air and hit you in the head. It hurts like hell. Well, that's weight. I don't put weight in my car.
Well, every little pound counts. And,
Everything.
we were looking at the.
Well, look at this. It has to have the stock. There's no way to move it. They'll throw you out of the class. It has to be stock body.
So Pro Stock, we were looking at Landy's car. They used and put aluminum on these panels and took all the steel out.
Yeah, you got
and
it.
the upper cowl panel and everything.
You use a flat firewall. Well, guess what? When I built my '73 Duster, it was the first tube chassis car. We didn't put aluminum in it.
Really?
We put magnesium in it. It's lighter than aluminum.
It is lighter.
We pickled it.
It's
made
stronger.
It look gold. Yeah, you couldn't tell it wasn't aluminum.
Another one of them little.
And I had the first one that the front end came off. And I could work on it. And it was a lot better. And,
Now, something that they told me about that I didn't know was they use 6-cylinder spindles and all the lighter suspension parts.
Oh yeah.
You talk about shaving weight off.
Well, that's what you do. Yeah, you do. That's automatic almost. And like this one, all the small brake drums, and they're cut about in half, and the spindles are light. You lighten the front end up. This one happened to be a crash. 75. They had the crash bumpers on.
Yeah.
So what I did to make everything legal is I took that off. That you and I can't hardly hold them.
Those big absorbers are heavy.
And I made them out of aluminum, and then I metal sprayed them so a magnet would stick to them. Lighten it there.
Man.
Lighten it there. The acid dip the bumper.
You had a lot of tricks under your sleeve.
You just got it. I think.
Did you know Smokey Unic?
Pardon me?
Did you know Smokey Unic?
I did.
I've got to hang out in his shop quite a bit. I lived in Daytona.
Well, my cousin, Ronnie Broadhead, he had Pontiacs. And he went back to see Smokey, and we got some ideas of his 60 Pontiac back in 1960, which was actually 62 or 3. He was a junior stock eliminator champion.
Yes.
389, I think, or whatever they were, the Pontiacs. And I actually drove the car a couple of times, and I won Pomona in it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's my cousin. I do anything I can to make him faster. We got it running real well.
Reason I brought him up because all these little tricks you're talking about, that's stuff that he would do.
Well, sure. Now you got to think about it. NASCAR guys did it.
Did you ever get caught? They'd pull you down and get your hand slapped.
Later, with the pro stock stuff, they allow you an inch, NHRA. So you can cut the roof line an inch. And it just adds more work. It costs more money to do all that stuff.
It does.
But when they're building it, that's the way to do it. You get in the wind tunnel, it helps.
Yeah.
The aero of the car. So there's so much to do to these things. It's just hard to believe. And, this thing's got a gear drive, rather than a chain.
Oh, nice.
And
that makes it give a good whine to it. I like the sound of a gear drive.
You're right about you saying that.
You've got quite
interesting you said that. Donovan. That's a Donovan gear drive.
Oh, is it?
Okay. Now, how they whine. So, obviously, my shop's not too far from Donovan.
Okay.
So I go over there, and he says, "Why don't you run my gear drive?" He just started with it. What he's trying to do, if I run it, he can sell them to Chrysler. See? I said, "They whine. I don't want to hear that stuff, man. I can't hear the engine.
Sure.
For the damn whine."
Sounds like a blower.
He said, "Well, you don't know how to put it on."
You should.
I said, "Why would I want to know?" I said, "It goes over the 2 dials. How do I make it quit whining?" He came to the shop, showed me. We had to move it a little bit, tighten it down. Never made a sound. This one does not make a sound.
Really?
No.
Because I had a Pete Jackson on a motor I
Pete
built.
Worse, actually.
And that thing was, wow, I wanted it loud. I liked it.
He did it with my cigarette paper. That's how he moved it.
Really?
It's kind of interesting. You make the hole each side bigger for the dial pin coming out.
Gotcha.
And you use the cam bushes, 2 degrees, 1 degree. You could just tap him around and he'll turn it over and feel it. That's it. Now take a chisel, tap them, and
Yep.
so they wouldn't move.
Mm-hmm.
Just bolt it right on perfect. Never
Oh
made a
man,
sound.
I didn't know y'all used gear drives back then.
Well, I know nobody did until he made a nice one like this one.
Wow.
And then guess what? All of Chrysler bought a ton of them.
Oh, I bet. So when's the last time you've been behind the wheel of one on the strip?
You know what is it in Ohio at trails, national trails?
Yeah.
They call it the Nats, Chrysler Nat. I was just there. Gilkirk owned the rod shop, when we had the
Yep.
Pontiacs, and his daughter wanted to drive down the track. I told her I'd take her one of these days or let her drive. And so he said, let's do it finally. I said, okay. So he has I think it's 21 or 22 392.
Okay.
The Gen 3 stuff.
Sure.
It run 114.
Wow.
So I talked him into getting a Whipple supercharger, and of course they're high compression, so it doesn't put out as much air. Okay, it will. So I go back and he said, drive it. It went 127. It felt so good. I felt it pulling hard. I'm listening to it. I said, this is fun, man. I haven't been in a car in 30 years.
You gotta miss it. You gotta miss it.
Oh, I do. Of course I do.
It's part of life. You gotta keep on keeping on.
Well, another thing that's interesting about my life story. So we decided 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, they wanted to do a book on me. And so they did. They published a book. My good friend Bob McClure, he did the whole book for me. And Fast Jack, he forwarded it for me. We're good friends, and he's an historian. So he knows all about my career, of course. And it is selling like hotcakes.
That's great.
Oh, it's really nice, and people need to look into it because it's one of the best ones out so far.
Well, why don't you talk about that real quick and let everybody here in Mopar land talk about it? What you got? You got a book out?
Here at the show, everybody's buying it because.
And what is the book? What's the name of it?
It's not a name. It's got a photo of my Thunderbolt on the cover. And right below it is my fire burnout, my Pro Star. I'm the only one that did dumb enough to do a fire burnout. It's really nice. Will this thing show you? I'll come show you the book.
Sure,
okay,
sure.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, this is a pleasure here speaking with him about this. Oh, yeah.
Well, this is actually the book, and this is I'm 20 right here when I won Indy back in the
Well, I'm
day.
going to have to get one of those from you.
Yeah, and it's my whole life story.
Oh, nice.
Got everything in it, everything I ever done.
And you can get this on Amazon?
Well, you can't get it from me. You can get it from me with an autograph.
Oh, that's the only way they can get it?
You can get it through Amazon too, but you don't get an autograph.
Well, of course not. I'm going to have that. Okay. So look for his book, Butch Leal, California Flash, his life story.
Bob McClure. It took 2 years to do it, 2.5 years.
Wow.
Find everything. You can see Mickey Thompson and I.
Oh, nice.
Mickey and I, and it's got my Pontiac days, my end of my career there. All the wins. And I inducted into the International Hall of Fame.
That is cool. Well,
there's this car, of course, and you'll see through here some of my cars.
I'll be looking at that tonight.
My golf career.
I didn't know you were a golfer. What?
I qualified for the Senior U.S. Open.
Get out.
Yeah.
Man, you're a multi-talented dude, aren't you?
Well, I love golf.
There it is. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll show you here. There's the Arrow.
Oh, yeah. I remember that car.
That's my wife, and she's helping me there pouring water now.
She's deployed bleach up under it.
Oh, here's my golf career started there.
That is
you can see here in this, I belong to Lakeside in L.A.
Yeah.
This picture here.
Look at that.
This guy here, that's Frankie Avalon. We're buddies. We're buddies. And
That's cool.
Frankie's, I think 83 or 4.
I didn't know you're still alive.
Oh yeah, he's
He's doing well then.
Andre,
Huh?
he's Andre Italian boy.
Well, tell me about real quick the name. How'd you get the California Flash?
Well, here we go. This is it's kind of interesting as you speak now. I come back to the east, towards the east from California in 1964 with my Thunderbird.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm off and running back. I stopped in Texas. I'm match racing, you know, the Chevelles with the Z11s and the Chevy versus Ford with Dickie Harrell, Alvin Durham, and the Honkers of Chryslers with my Thunderbolt with big tires on it, tinted, and it's fast, man, real fast. So I'm doing all that, and I go to the East Coast. Then I go to Chicago here about 5 times that year. Well, Ben Chris had, what here in Chicago, US 31, they call it or something. Okay, well, him and Mickey are partners in an island, so we draw a pretty good crowd. So, but he invited me to come to have dinner with him in his condo. Him and his wife. Ben said, looked at me, said, we got to get a name for you. He said, you know, there's a great monster. There's something to draw people. I said, I understand. So we talked about it. His wife says, Butch, you raced for us 5 times. So you come in with white pants on, white tennis shoes, with your red shirt, and don't have a speck of dirt on it. She says, you're from California, California flag. I said, that'll work.
It stuck.
In 1964.
That's cool. I wanted to hear that from you directly because I didn't really know, you know, and that's saying a lot too.
Well, it was very exciting years, of course, and you know, during that time.
Well, you guys on the West Coast were always a little bit quicker than us on the East Coast for some odd reason. You guys were ahead of the curve. Me and Don Garlitz were talking about that when he was running back in the day, and the guys in California had to go out there and run them. And he always it was a tough run.
You got to remember back in those days. Those guys were just like me, except me. I was a driver. I should have been smart enough to build something and sell it, you know, but I wanted to race.
Yeah.
Well, we had anything you wanted there. So now you're going to try stuff that they don't get yet.
Yeah.
To come right out of the box. You know, and so it's been a
You home, buddy?
Yeah.
Good seeing you again.
I'll go in the morning.
You and
When you going?
you go on the wife. We're leaving now.
Okay.
You and the wife have a good Thanksgiving.
We will.
And I'll.
Super nice.
Well, what I'm going to do is.
Rag mama.
Oh, that's what I'm doing with him. That's what I'm doing. He needs it, right?
Oh yeah.
He needs it.
Oh, average. He's aggravating out to me. I talk to him quite often. He goes, I'm getting too old. I can't do this. About 3 hours. I said, you need care. I said, you want some kerosene rags? Excuse me.
I know.
So I said, wrap around your ankle so the ants can't get to your candy ass.
That's good stuff. We got it on camera.
We can talk.
We can do that with a buddy of ours for the last 60 years.
Oh, yeah.
I gotcha.
Go and see you. Have a safe trip.
Well, that's super good stuff, Butch, and you know, I'm so glad I got this. We're at about 37 minutes right now, and your story, career, this car, just the whole deal. This video is going to be great, and I like documenting the old drag racers and talking to them, and you know, we've lost.
We're all innovators, NHRA's, and we got, then I go on after that stuff in this car, and I end up with the Pontiac cars in the 80s, and with the rod shop, and Gil Kirk and I, and we put a team together. It was probably one of the best teams ever. I think 4 cars, and it was a great team, and had nice uniforms. I mean, we were really.
You've had a storied career.
Oh, well, I had a friend of mine that I love, Bob Riffle. He was farming. And he was a great driver too, by the way. Won a lot with the rod shop, and I guess him and Gil got a little spat once, and and I said, I'm gonna go hire Bob. Oh, I don't know. I said, I'll handle him. Don't worry about it. And so I went to see him, and he said, well, what are you thinking? And I told him a number. He said, "Let me put my tractor up." I did. I said, "Okay, buddy, we're off and running."
Tractor to drag car.
That's right. He just went back, and he was very, very smart.
That sounds like Arnie Beswick.
Yeah, well, we got together. He would always say, "Well, you went a little faster than me." I said, "Not when you and I are going to be together. I got stuff that you never knew about, and I'm sure you do. We'll put it together and see what we can do." And we rubbed the parts, did all the engine work together, and we flew. We really ran good. So we designed the Pontiac heads, the Pro Stock Pontiac heads.
Wow.
There, I hired Ike. For them back then. It wasn't CNC machines like it should have been, but it turned out good. He was a good porter. And,
well, I tell you what, I'm so glad that I got this on camera,
right.
And I get you on my YouTube channel,
Right.
And I'm just.
Well, call me when you get it on there for sure.
I will. I'm gonna have to get a phone number from you and stay in touch with you.
I'll see if I can get it right now.
All right, Butch. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much.